Basher pointed immediately toward the doorway, just as Walter stepped quietly inside from the porch. He's here to steal the land. The accusation hung sharp in the air. Walter removed his hat respectfully the moment he entered, and bowed his head slightly towards Basher's mother. Morning. She greeted him automatically, despite her confusion. Walter. Basher paced once through the kitchen, like a trapped animal. He admitted it out in the field. He pointed again angrily. Said his people owned this land, and he came here to take it back. Walter's eyes remained steady. I said I can't steal what already belongs to me. Silence followed. Heavy. Absolute. Basher's mother slowly covered her mouth with one trembling hand. Outside, wind brushed softly through the fields. Somewhere distant, a screen door banged against its frame. Basher laughed bitterly under his breath. And apparently, he said, he thinks father would side with him. His mother looked sharply between them. Walter said nothing. Basher's anger sharpened again beneath the silence. Well, let's settle that then. He gestured sharply toward the staircase. You want him to hear you? Fine. His eyes locked onto Walter's. Legally, you don't have a damn leg to stand on, Basher continued. But for my own amusement, I'll take you upstairs anyway, before I throw you off my property. Walter merely nodded once. Basher's mother lowered herself slowly into one of the kitchen chairs, as though her strength had abandoned her all at once. She buried her face into her hands without speaking. Neither man said a word to her as they moved toward the stairs. The farmhouse seemed unnaturally quiet now. Each stair creaked beneath Basher's boots, while Walter followed several steps behind. Dust floated pale through shafts of sunlight, cutting across the hallway above. The air upstairs smelled faintly medicinal beneath the older scent of wood rot and age. Arthur's coughing had stopped entirely. That frightened Basher more than he expected. By the time they reached the bedroom door at the end of the hall, the anger inside him had begun shifting into something else, something colder. He stopped, with one hand resting against the doorknob. Suddenly, the weight of the room beyond it pressed hard against his chest, because on the other side of that door waited more than Arthur Bingham. There waited every unfinished thing between them, every bruise, every silence, every terrified childhood morning before dawn chores, every moment Basher had spent convincing himself he no longer cared whether the old man lived or died. And beneath all of it lurked another fear he could barely admit to himself. That sickness might have already diminished Arthur into someone fragile enough to pity. Basher did not know what he would do if that happened. Anger was easier when monsters stayed large. He stared at the door while his breathing slowed unevenly. Then he looked sideways toward Walter. The young man stood beside him, calm as ever, morning sunlight touching softly along the reddish warmth of his skin. No mockery existed in his expression now. No philosophy. Only understanding. Walter gave the faintest nod. Then, gently, he placed one hand on Basher's shoulder. The gesture carried no force within it whatsoever. Yet Basher felt something inside him steady slightly beneath the touch. Basher opened the door without knocking. The room beyond smelled faintly of medicine, stale air, and old age slowly overtaking pride. Thin daylight spilled through the curtains in pale strips across the floorboards, illuminating dust drifting lazily through the stillness. Arthur Bingham sat upright in bed, facing the window. For a moment, Basher did not recognize him. The old man looked diminished in a way that felt unnatural, as though somebody had quietly removed pieces of him while no one was watching. Arthur had once seemed built from the same harsh material as the farm itself. Broad, immovable, weatherproof. A man whose footsteps alone could tighten a child's stomach in fear from 3 rooms away. Now he looked worn, nearly transparent by time. His shoulders had collapsed inward beneath the loose pajama top, hanging crookedly from one side, exposing the sharp jut of collarbone beneath skin gone thin and pale as old paper. Grey stubble shadowed his jaw unevenly. His hair, once thick and iron dark, clung in tired wisps against a spotted skull. Even his hands, resting atop the blanket, looked foreign to Basher. Those enormous, brutal hands reduced now to trembling bone and vein. Arthur did not turn immediately. He simply continued staring out the window toward the distant fields. And Basher realized then, with strange sudden clarity, that power was never permanent. It only borrowed flesh for a while before abandoning it. The great threat of Arthur Bingham sat there unraveling quietly inside sunlight. Not defeated exactly, just returned to ordinary mortality at last. The sight hollowed something unexpectedly deep inside Basher, because children carried their parents in monstrous proportions long after adulthood should correct the illusion. Some frightened part of him had believed Arthur too large to truly decay, too severe for sickness to humble properly. Yet here he was, an old farmer in a crooked shirt, struggling to breathe. Nothing more. Basher became painfully aware then of his own body standing in the doorway. His height, his weight, the breadth of his shoulders filling the room's narrow entrance. For the first time in his life, he understood fully that he had grown larger than his father. The realization unsettled him profoundly. As a boy, he had measured himself against Arthur constantly, not in inches, but in force, in anger, in presence. Arthur's shadow once seemed capable of swallowing entire rooms whole. Now Basher looked downward toward the bed. Downward. The reversal felt almost obscene. Behind him, Walter remained silent near the doorway. Arthur finally stirred slightly at the sound of breathing in the room. Slowly, painfully, he turned his head. His faded eyes settled first on Basher, and for one fleeting moment, brief enough, Basher almost doubted it afterward. Fear passed across the old man's face. Basher stepped fully into the room. Behind him, Walter quietly closed the door. The latch clicked softly into place. Arthur's faded eyes lingered on Basher for a long moment before narrowing slightly. "Why are you here?" His voice sounded brittle now, scraped hollow by sickness, yet traces of the old severity still lingered beneath it, like rust beneath chip paint. Basher folded his arms. "We need to talk about the farm." Arthur's mouth twitched faintly. "No." He adjusted himself painfully against the pillow. "Why did you come back to the farm at all?" The question struck harder than Basher expected. He frowned. "Aren't you dying?" Arthur stared at him. "When has that ever concerned you?" Silence settled heavily into the room. Outside the window, the fields swayed gently beneath morning wind, green and alive beneath the sun. Then Arthur's gaze shifted past Basher toward Walter standing near the door. His eyes sharpened immediately. "Why is there a strange brown man in my bedroom?" Basher exhaled impatiently. "He's been working the farm." He gestured vaguely toward Walter. "Since Mom apparently let him move into the shed while your lungs collapsed and left everyone else cleaning up the mess." Arthur's expression darkened. Basher continued. "And now he's claiming the land belongs to his people. Says you'll understand if he speaks to you directly." Arthur wiped slowly at the corner of his mouth. Then he studied Walter, and suddenly, like embers disturbed beneath ash, something cruel and dangerous returned to the old man's eyes. Basher recognized it instantly. That familiar ugliness, sickness had not fully managed to kill. I'll let the boy speak, Arthur muttered, though this already sounds like a waste of my time. His eyes flicked toward Basher. You should have been man enough to handle this yourself. The words struck automatically, like old blows landing where bruises already lived. Walter stepped forward calmly. Arthur Bingham. Arthur gave no response. Walter continued anyway. I know your family arrived here in the late 1800s. Clarence Bingham rode with the Wisconsin remnant during the final land seizures. Arthur's expression hardened. Walter's voice remained calm as river water. He helped use military force and fraudulent law to remove my people from these lands. Arthur scoffed bitterly. Here we go. But I'm not here to preach to you about evil men, Walter said quietly. Arthur straightened slightly, despite his weakness. You watch your mouth, boy. Walter continued, as though the interruption had never happened. My ancestors lived with this land long before your family carved fences through it. His eyes drifted toward the distant fields beyond the window. They listened to the earth the way people once listened to elders. The soil taught them when frost would come before the sky revealed it. The rivers whispered where the floods would turn generous and where they would turn cruel. His voice softened further. They planted by moonlight and buried their dead where the ground itself felt willing to hold grief. Then Walter lifted one hand slowly and pointed toward the north field. There. Basher felt cold move suddenly through him. Walter's eyes remained fixed beyond the glass. The bones of my family rest beneath those rows. The room fell utterly still. Their blood fed the soil long before yours did. Walter placed one hand lightly against his own chest, and that same blood still moves through me now. Something ancient seemed to pass quietly through his voice then. This farm is dying because it remembers who loved it first. Arthur scoffed weakly, though less confidently now. Walter stepped closer to the bed. The land once answered my people because they gave themselves to it fully. Sweat, blood, prayer, sorrow. They understood that earth is not property. His eyes darkened softly. It is relationship. The wind moved gently beyond the windows. And now the fields are crying out again for familiar hands. Basher finally stepped forward sharply. This is insane. His lawyer's voice emerged automatically now, cold and clinical. The Bingums have occupied and worked this land continuously for generations. Ownership is legally established and protected under state and federal law. Walter did not look at him. Basher continued harder. You can't just show up talking about spirits and ancestors and expect. Arthur lifted one trembling hand weakly. Basher stopped. The old man had not taken his eyes off Walter once. Walter's voice lowered further. You are dying, Arthur. No softness existed in the statement, only truth. You've known it for a long time. Arthur's jaw tightened. And if you seek peace before the earth takes you, Walter continued, then allow me to bury you in the far field. Basher stared at him. Return the soil to the people already resting beneath it. Arthur's breathing rasped unevenly in the room. Walter stepped still closer. It's too late for redemption. The words fell quietly. The world owes you no forgiveness. Your death is the only mercy it still intends to offer. Basher looked sharply toward Walter in shock, but Walter's expression remained strangely compassionate, despite the brutality of the words. You were what you were, he said softly. Nothing can undo that now. Arthur lowered his eyes slowly toward the blanket over his knees. But death still offers one final kindness, Walter continued. Peace. His gaze drifted toward the farmhouse beyond the bedroom door. Your wife may live here the rest of her days. The house will remain with the Bingums, always. Then toward the fields. But the soil itself should return to the footsteps that first understood its language. Arthur's shoulders sagged. For the first time since entering the room, Basher saw something inside his father finally begin to collapse, and panic rose instantly through him. No. Basher stepped toward the bed aggressively. The farm belongs to me. Arthur did not look up. Basher's voice sharpened desperately. If there's any decency left in that black heart of yours, then for once in your life, stop thinking about yourself. Arthur coughed violently into his fist. Walter quietly retrieved a handkerchief from beside the wash basin and handed it to him. Arthur accepted it without protest. The coughing rattled painfully through his chest before finally easing. Then silence. Arthur looked out the window. The morning sun stretched bright over the thriving fields. Green rose swayed softly beneath the wind, alive in ways Arthur had never seen before Walter arrived. The old man stared a long time. finally spoke. The fields deserve to live. His eyes shifted toward Walter. I'll do it. Basher felt the words like physical impact. What? Arthur closed his eyes heavily. I'm done talking now. He waved one frail hand weakly toward the door. Dismissal. Basher stood frozen, while rage and disbelief crashed violently through him. Walter remained calm. Together they stepped back into the hallway, while Arthur's room fell quiet once more behind them. The bedroom door clicked shut. For several seconds, neither man spoke. Then Walter said, "Like you said yesterday, your father will always be a bad man." Basher stared blankly down the hallway. I think he swallowed hard. I think part of me hoped he'd finally do something that let me forgive him. Walter regarded him gently. Evil people don't become good simply because we need closure. The farmhouse creaked softly around them. You spent your life waiting for your father to transform into someone capable of healing what he damaged. Walter shook his head faintly. But broken men rarely become miracles before death. Basher's eyes lowered. So what am I supposed to do with all this anger? Walter's voice softened. Stop protecting it. Basher looked at him. You treat your anger like a guard dog, keeping June safe inside you. But grief does not need violence to survive. The words settled painfully deep. Your father was evil, Walter said plainly. Accepting that is not cruelty. It's clarity. Then more gently, but you should forgive yourself for surviving him. The two men descended the stairs in silence. The farmhouse seemed quieter now, as though something upstairs had already begun loosening itself from the world. Sunlight spilled warm and golden through the kitchen windows, catching softly against dust motes drifting in the still air. Basher's mother looked up immediately from the table when they entered. There was something almost childlike in the expression she wore then. Fearful hope, the look of someone awaiting news, capable of reshaping the remainder of her life. Her eyes searched Basher's face first. Basher could not hold her gaze long. Instead, he looked toward Walter, standing beside the doorway, with his hat in his hands. Then quietly said, "The farm will belong to Walter when Dad passes." The words seemed to empty the room. His mother blinked once, as though she had not understood properly. Walter remained calm. He tapped lightly against the brim of his hat with 2 fingers before placing it beneath his arm. "I'll return on the day," he said softly. Basher's mother frowned faintly. "What day?" Basher lifted his eyes slowly toward the ceiling, toward Arthur's room. "He'll see him then." Silence followed. Walter placed the hat upon his head. Then, without another word, he stepped out through the back door. Basher watched him through the kitchen window. This time, Walter did not head toward the equipment shed. Instead, he walked calmly through the bright afternoon fields, toward the distant river embankment, moving slowly beneath the wind-bent crops, as though returning to something waiting patiently for him there. His mother came to stand beside Basher. "Where's he going?" Basher kept watching the distant figure. "To the river." The answer came strangely certain. "And he won't be back for dinner." His mother looked at him quietly then. After a long moment, She reached out and held his hand. Basher stared down at her weathered fingers, gently wrapped around his own broad, calloused hand. Finally, he asked in a voice rougher than intended, "Why is his heart so dark?" His mother lowered her eyes immediately. For the first time since Basher returned home, genuine shame passed openly across her face. The kitchen clock ticked softly nearby. "When you were born," she began carefully, "your father didn't believe you were his." Basher felt the room still around him. She swallowed. "The doctors told him for years he couldn't have children. When I got pregnant," her voice weakened slightly, "he thought I'd betrayed him." Basher looked away toward the fields. "We fought about it for years," she whispered, "terribly." Outside, wind bent the onion rows into soft green waves beneath the afternoon sun. "But deep down," she continued, "Arthur knew you were his." Tears gathered faintly in her tired eyes. "He knew." Basher's jaw tightened painfully. "Then why?" His mother exhaled shakily. "Because some men would rather protect their pride than face their wounds." The sentence lingered heavily between them. He couldn't bear the shame of being wrong, she said quietly. And once anger lives inside a man long enough, it begins defending itself. Basher closed his eyes briefly. He didn't just hurt himself. "No," she whispered. "He killed my spirit." The words struck the kitchen with brutal honesty. His mother's fingers tightened gently around his hand. Then, softly, almost as though speaking to herself, she said, "Anger left sitting too long beside inadequacy begins fermenting into something poisonous. Her eyes drifted upward toward the ceiling. Some men become so ashamed of their own weakness that they spend the rest of their lives pushing whoever witnessed it. The house creaked softly around them, but I stayed, she continued quietly, because every now and then, beneath all that cruelty, I still caught glimpses of the frightened young man he used to be before bitterness finished eating him alive. A tear finally escaped down her cheek, and I remained loyal to that small surviving goodness. Basher looked at his mother then with a sorrow so deep it almost resembled understanding, not agreement, never that, but understanding.